Welcome to qnawire.
All right, so we've got F minus, I minus, and Br minus. Well, if we recall the periodic table, these are all halides, which are in the same column. Right, we've got fluorine, beneath that is chlorine, then bromine, and then iodine. And we don't have chlorine here, but we do know that size increases as we go down. And we know that size increases when we make something an ion, or at least an anion. Okay. And since each of these should increase roughly the same amount upon turning into an ion, we shouldn't expect the size, the relative size of these to change any, other than that they were already in order based on their size, location in the periodic table. So the largest one would still be iodine. And the second smallest would still be bromine. And the smallest would still be fluorine at the top of the periodic table. Okay, we've got another set to consider. Here we have I minus, xenon, and iodine. Okay, now in the periodic table, recall that we have iodine, and on that same row, we have xenon. Okay, and also recall that when comparing I minus to xenon, these have the same number of electrons. But xenon has more proton. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I mean that both of them will have the exact same number of electrons, but xenon has more protons, meaning that xenon is going to be holding its electrons more closely, right? This extra electron on iodine doesn't have a proton to counteract it, right? So this electron is going to be further from iodine than the furthest out electron on xenon. Okay? So in general, if two things are isoelectronic and one of them has fewer protons, that one will be larger than the other. Okay? So I minus is isoelectronic with xenon, therefore, because iodine has fewer protons, it'll be larger than xenon. So we already know that xenon is smaller than iodine, or I minus. And now the final thing is, what about iodine and xenon when iodine is neutral? Remember, we also have to compare neutral. Well, here we just look at positioning on the periodic table and say, okay, size increases as we move to the right. Sorry, increases as we move to the left. So that would mean that, iodine, even neutral iodine, is bigger than xenon. And then, of course, I minus should be bigger than iodine. So if we want to talk about in decreasing order, we should say iodine. And then we would say, I minus, then iodine, and then xenon. This is the order that we want. Okay, finally we have phosphorus, chlorine, and silicon and their relationship in the periodic table. Okay, well, we don't have sulfur in our answer. Okay, but we do know that things increase as we move to the left. They increase as we go down, and they increase as we move to the left in terms of atomic radius. That is, we should expect chlorine to be the smallest, phosphorus to be the second smallest, and silicon to be the largest. So in order, in terms of decreasing size, it should be silicon, phosphorus, chlorine.